Worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses. Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives of loved ones, millions left behind. A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot. We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does. Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record.
What country is he really talking about?
Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting.
What is this man talking about?
Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower. The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers. Creating good-paying American jobs. And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree. In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. And And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. By the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernize our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
What are they talking? This guy he's been off since the beginning. He started off talking about Ukraine.
Affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in a family farm, because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know, we're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, and new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. The folks at Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America. Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up. And Dawn Sims, a third-generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line, and today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class. I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going.
Wow.
That's America.
Wow.
That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
This man is absolutely delusional. Not anything dealing with the border. He's not talking about anything of importance, just garbage.
Tonight,
4 more years of this? Are you
I
kidding?
want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the state of the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
Really? Wow. Exactly, Frank.
With a law that I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, but what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion. Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market to treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade.
Yes,
They're making a lot of money,
James, he
guys.
did.
And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Now I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, well, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal. Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. But my predecessor and many in this chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. They enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady. To pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years. And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world.
Oh, boy.
And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. You know, I think I pointed out last year, that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. I think, well, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high-quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to good paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions. When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters.
You guys, I just don't understand the lies and just the overlooking the state of the union. He's literally overlooking the state that we're in. Mentally insane.
Insanity. Dan, thank you.
Actors.
He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter
Who's in
to
this,
college.
in this skin suit? Because look at the hands. Look at the hands compared to that face.
And folks, look,
Look at Biden's hands compared to the face.
such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise. And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next
What
decade.
planet?
It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and the very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half.
Yeah, but
Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that could be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse. I propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine
You
if
can
you
fix
would
it by
pay
stop.
daily
Don't send any
because
more
no
money
one
to
should have to
Ukraine.
choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care and people living with disabilities so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you. The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion to the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share.
You can't even protect the border.
Look,
He can't even protect the border.
too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations that engage in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this. I really mean it.
This is embarrassing.
You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees, those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8. Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more, a hell of a lot, like $8 and 30-some dollars. They don't like it. The credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating. Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to
You let
having
them in,
lost
that's
children
right.
myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now. And if my predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border, provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, whose ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all American. Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him.
Get down, man, coat.
But joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers. She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But 59 years later, there are forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis was a great friend to many of us here, but if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour. We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBEW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And pattern after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. The year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust, as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or have it on their record.
Wait a minute. Aren't you the one who incarcerated how many black men?
Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the federal enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America.
You know what? This is sad. I don't know how much more I can watch of this before I cuss.
There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oh. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Pass universal background checks. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also we will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has an added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards, under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocents, women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin, families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis.
Janet Yellen.
And build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. They're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. To the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president to visit Israel in wartime. But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America is falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict of the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril. Ban AI voice impersonations and more. And keep our truly sacred obligation to train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't. That's why the song Support and Help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H, and remind us that we can do big things like end cancer as we know it, and we will. Let me close with this. Yay.
Please do.
I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation, between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me. I was born amid World War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service. I left the law firm, became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black president. Now president to the first women vice president. In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal and deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are, it's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, that was the address. I don't want to call it the State of the Union because he really did not tell what the State of the Union was. He didn't share with any of us the truth. He didn't talk about what he's not doing. He didn't take any accountability. And here's the funny, ironic, weird, cuckoo part. If he had, he would have won respect. Maybe not votes, but most assuredly respect. Because the pile of crap that he just piled on that podium is going to reverberate for what he talked about in the beginning, history. He said history is watching, and boy, oh boy, not only is it watching, but you've got the forefathers of this nation rolling over in their graves. Lie after lie, gaslight after gaslight. I, ooh, most assuredly up north of the 49th, that's exactly what it was. And it's, oh, I love to hear these. Let me hear these pieces.
I said, Mr. Chairman, someplace you'd help and someplace you'd hurt. He looked at me and said, I'll come and campaign for you again. And whichever helps.
Come on now. Good job. Great job.
Look at the neck.
Great job. Be lively. That was a sermon tonight.
He doesn't even look like he did 6 years ago.
No, there's no team strength.
Great job, Mr. So y'all can get in there.
Let me see you the face. By the way, I've been in constant contact with you. Here's what I'm worried about with Ukraine. If we pull away, the rest of Europe's going to pull away. They're looking for us. So something on the phone. I spend my company 90 hours.
I don't even, wow, I don't really have many words. And I think the reason why I don't have any words is because I can't believe how many lies he told. Yeah, Boy Scout scarf. Didn't they disband the Boy Scouts? I believe they disbanded the Boy Scouts, didn't they? No, I just, that was so exhausting. Listening to that entire crock of amazing word salad was absolutely tiring. He did not once talk about what he planned to do to actually fix his negligence of the border. He didn't speak of any of that. He didn't talk about the fact that all of the money that they've given over to the Ukraine if they had stopped giving money, or if they didn't give any at all, we wouldn't be in this deficit. Instead, he reversed it to say that the former president, he referred to his predecessor this evening more than I think I have ever heard anybody talk about their predecessor, as if everything that's wrong right now today was the predecessor's fault. And it's tragic that we are living in a time where this could go on as long as it has. And I mean everything that's going on. Now, there's been a lot of things that's happened just recently in the past few days, and whether it's contrived, made up or not, I don't know. But there's been a lot of things that's taken place in the subways of New York. And I know it doesn't shock anybody, and that you all know that they've got now the some troops down there monitoring the subways. How about if we knew who was in our country? We probably wouldn't have that as a problem. Now, I know they're talking about the fact that they're monitoring it and they're trying to see who's responsible. They believe it's a repeat offender, somebody who's doing this. But are we just going to just ignore the fact that that area has a large amount of people that have not been vetted, that are now living there? Yes, there's always been crime, but not to this extent. Not where you've got conductors getting their throats slashed and things of that nature. These are the things that are in the news now. And I blame it all on having a very wide open border, a border he did not speak of this evening. He gave us a lot of what ifs and things that he might do or he could do if he thought about it and closed his eyes really, really tight and clicked his little ruby slippers together. Things like ending cancer. Can you imagine what the pharmaceutical world would look like if they actually just said, hey, leave sugar alone and it won't do X, Y, or Z? There you go. I cured it. Can you imagine what would have happened had they said, okay, well, it's stress and this and this and this, and stop all that and eat real vegetables. We're going to cut off all the other stuff. There you go. I fixed it for you. This man is not going to do anything. And that's so terribly, terribly disturbing. I'm literally sitting here with just shaking my head because I don't know. I watched it right along with you guys, but you guys tell me down below. Let me know in the comments. Do you really think he's going to do even one of the things he talked about? Because they're all Fantasy Island phrases. Everything he said was as if it was from Fantasy Island. Everything. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to have a lot of after parties, but it's the back of that head that's amazing to me. He doesn't look anything like Joe Biden. Nothing like Joe Biden. There's been a lot of people that says, oh, this one's gone and that one's gone. And oh, they took this one out to Guantanamo and they did this with this one and they did that with that one. I don't know anything about any of that stuff, but what I will tell you is that don't look like him. And look at James Brown sliding up behind him. Look at James Brown, Maxine Waters from California. My dad is a vet, 2 tours of duty, and is so embarrassed he ever served. He was drafted and his country is dead to him. That's from up north of the 49th. His AI and ARPA D, I got you, are troubling. Frank, one of our mods, says, Derek, truth. They tell you in the movies and then they lie on the news. Botox, lots of it. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a very good question. There's only one real James Brown, and he ain't it. No, I'm talking about Maxine Waters. She looks just like James Brown in a wig to me. And it's because of all the cheating and the lying and the scamming that she's done over the years that it's changed her looks so much. Yeah, it really is, Derek. Let's see if they still have his mic turned up. It looks like a party of the Monster Mash. That was horrifying. Now, who's giving the response? She's got her finger up. Are they ready for the response? Where are they giving it? And have they pre-recorded it? I really want to hear the Republican response. Let me see. Let's just check it out, shall we? Did you guys hear all of the disturbing noise? All of the yelling and all of those things. I really wish that I could have made out what they were saying. They had to escort one guy out, and he probably just couldn't take it no more. He probably just could not take it anymore. But I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow what was being said. Marjorie Taylor Greene also made a couple of comments.
We're gonna get you to Indy 500. You kicked ass and took name. Come on.
Okay, let's go over here because they're giving it now. All right, so we'll go away and we'll find it. Here we are. Yeah, that was a joke. Major joke. All right, let's check it out. Say it's coming up, but they don't give us an exact time. Nonetheless, I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless because I don't think I've ever seen anything as that's worse than last year. That's worse than last year, you guys. So let me see if we can go back to where we were, so we can see if that's worse than last year, you guys. Off. So let me see if we. Let's check it out here. Let's see. Boy. And you guys in the comments, y'all are too much. You guys had me rolling in those comments. You honestly did. Okay, so he's still rummaging around in the basement. Doesn't it remind you of a monster mash? Like a whole bunch of mummies just standing around waiting for the clock to strike 12 so they can get back inside of their rat chariot and go home. Or like a bunch of bats hanging around and the sun's about to come up and they have to fly back into their belfry.
Should we take a photo right here? Right here, there we go. Excellent, sounds good. Excellent.
Did you get a signing?
I did. I got multiple.
Thank you.
I think around is probably best.
It's a great picture for governor. For the governor's
Yes.
Oh, is that what happened, conscious citizen? I didn't know that. Okay. So I'm not sure if they're going to. Yeah, they are. So we'll just keep it here and wait for the Republican response from Katie Britt from here. I hope that she doesn't embarrass us down here in Alabama. I really do. I really hope she doesn't. But I hope she gets him. I really do. I don't want any of these mamby-pamby things. I don't want any of that. I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of the Rolf, you've been cutting up tonight, and I love every second of it. I love every letter that formed a word that you put in tonight. Oh, Mr. Steiner. It's really sad, isn't it? It is so sad. It is. It's terrible. James Brown taking a selfie with poopy pants. Biden's neck hairline is like high-waisted trousers. Yep. Most assuredly, WFV3. You never lied there. Yeah, it's something's not right. Here's what I'm saying. When I was cutting hair, I had a lot of customers who were like, I had some guys that were attorneys, a couple of guys that were doctors, and some of them were older men. But I want to tell you something. They maintained themselves. They kept up with their hair, they kept up with their look, they kept up with their skin. This guy, his skin doesn't even it doesn't reek wealth. I don't know whether you guys know what I'm talking about. I've been around wealthy men, and their skin, they take good care of their skin, especially the ones who are flashy. And I've known a lot of politicians, and I've known a lot of cats like that, and something looks off. Something looks off. I don't care how old he is. There's something that don't look like no skin I've ever seen. That doesn't look like any skin I've ever seen. Stephanie, are you referring to the women in white? I call them a coven. I call them a coven. A coven. I remember that, Derek. Do dissidents covered the protests? Oh, I don't know who that is. Blocking the road to the State of the Union. Yeah, so that's what all the women in white. That's what I refer to them as a coven. I do. Uh huh. Oh. Remember to vote for Joe. 30330. Remember that. I remember that. They need that high collar to help hide the spine splint he's wearing. You guys are funny. So they say. Joe equals 30 in Gematria, and Satan is 330 in Gematria. Good point. Decayed skin hostess. They they black don't crack. Perhaps some white folks skin craters on occasion. No, I don't even think that's what that is at all. What I think that is that's not a person. And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't see that skin as being anything that in all my years of studying skin and hair and all that good stuff, that doesn't look like skin. It looks like what we had to do when we were in beauty college, and we had to make a bust, like if we were working on a movie set. We had to make a like a it was I forgot the name of it. Oh God, we had to pour it in a mold, and it literally came out like a giant mask that you would put. It was like a rubbery mold. You'd put it over, and then we had to put the makeup on it. That's what that looks like to me. That's what he looks like. That's what it looks like. Up north of 49th says it's a mask. Bad dermatitis. ah, let's see if we're on. Hold on. Let's see if I. No, it's still going. Where is she reporting it from? And I hope it's not a recorded one. I don't like that. I hope this person is really giving an open rebuttal to what we just saw. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear what they come in with. That's what I want to hear. Yeah. Well, let's see. Every time I say, oh, well, let's see if we can find something else to watch, that's when they always pop up, and then you're on. You're like, gee willikers. Ah, gee whiz. Let's see. Let's take a gander. Let me see if I have anything old to look at. You know what I was cracking up about? I was cracking up about this the other day, and I'm almost ashamed to show you. No, this is old. So let's just watch this. It's 3 minutes and
Good evening,
30 seconds.
America. My name is Katie
There they
Fitz,
go. I
and
knew it
have
was going
the
to
honor
happen.
of serving the people of the great state of Alabama in the United States Senate. However, that's not the job that matters most. I am a proud wife and mom of 2 school-aged kids. My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure. I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this one. You know, this is where our family has tough conversations. It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we share the good, the bad, and the ugly of our days. It's where we laugh together, and it's where we hold each other's hands and pray for God's guidance. And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight, the American family needs to have a tough conversation because the truth is, we're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams. My American dream allowed me, the daughter of two small business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40. Growing up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never could have imagined what my story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime, it's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families. The true, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this. Our families are hurting. Our country can do better. And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border to see it. President Biden inherited the most secure border of all time. But minutes after taking office, he suspended all deportations, he halted construction of the border wall, and he announced a plan to give amnesty to millions. We know that President Biden didn't just create this border crisis, he invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. She told me not just that she was raped every day, but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room, and they sent men through that door over and over again for hours and hours on end. We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country. This is the United States of America, and it is past time, in my opinion, that we start acting like it. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable. And the truth is, it is almost entirely preventable. From fentanyl poisonings to horrific murders, There are empty chairs tonight at kitchen tables just like this one because of President Biden's senseless border policies. Just think about Lake and Riley. In my neighboring state of Georgia, this beautiful 22-year-old nursing student went out on a jog one morning, but she never got the opportunity to return home. She was brutally murdered by one of the millions of illegal border crossers President Biden chose to release into our homeland. Y'all, as a mom, I can't quit thinking about this. I mean, this could have been my daughter. This could have been yours. And tonight, President Biden finally said her name. But he refused to take responsibility for his own actions. Mr. President, enough is enough. Innocent Americans are dying, and you only have yourself to blame. Fulfill your oath of office, reverse your policies, end this crisis, and stop the suffering. Sadly, we know that President Biden's failures don't stop there. His reckless spending dug our economy into a hole and sent the cost of living through the roof. We have the worst inflation in 40 years and the highest credit card debt in our nation's history. Let that sink in. Hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet today. And with soaring mortgage rates and sky-high childcare costs, they're also struggling to how to plan for tomorrow. The American people are scraping by while President Biden proudly proclaims that Bidenomics is working. Goodness, y'all, bless his heart. We know better. I'll never forget stopping at a gas station in Chilton County one evening. The gentleman working the counter told me that after retiring, he had to pick up a job in his 70s so that he didn't have to choose between going hungry or going without his medication. He said, I did everything right. I did everything I was told to do. I worked hard, I saved, I was responsible. He's not alone. I hear similar concerns from fellow parents, whether I am walking with my friends or whether I'm at my kids' games. But let's be honest, it's been a minute since Joe Biden pumped gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart. Meanwhile, the rest of us see our dollar and we know it doesn't go as far. We see it every day. And despite what he tells you, our communities are not safer. For years, the left has coddled criminals and defunded the police, all while letting repeat offenders walk free. The result is tragic, but foreseeable. From our small towns to America's most iconic city streets, life is getting more and more dangerous. And unfortunately, President Biden's weakness isn't just hurting families here at home. He is making us a punchline on the world stage. Look, where I'm from, your word is your bond. But for 3 years, the president has demonstrated that America's word doesn't mean what it used to. From abandoning our allies in his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan to desperately pushing another dangerous deal with Iran, President Biden has failed. We've become a nation in retreat, and the enemies of freedom, they see an opportunity. Putin's brutal aggression in Europe has put our allies on the brink. Iran's terrorist proxies have slaughtered Israeli, Jews, and American citizens. They've targeted commercial shipping, and they've attacked our troops nearly 200 times since October, killing 3.
I'm
US
sorry,
soldiers
but there's
and
something about this
7
chick,
individuals. Meanwhile,
and it ain't good. Oops, sorry.
China is buying up our farmland, spying on our military installations, and spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. You see, the CCP knows that if it
Okay, I'm sorry.
conquers
I
the
can't take
minds
it no
of our
more.
next
Listen, I
generation,
don't really. There's something in the air that feels so fake.
And what does President Biden
It's just
do?
something just
Well,
feels so
he
uber
bans
fake. Now,
TikTok
I know that I'm
for
not
a
a
government
part
employee,
of this
but
government. I'm not a part of
creates
this
an
world.
account
I'm
for
not,
his
you know
own
what I'm saying?
campaign.
Yah has me.
Y'all,
That
you
is
can't
my
make this
kingdom,
stuff
and
up.
this is my job. This is what I do, talking about
We
this and
all
sharing
live
it and
when
having
presidents
dialogue about it.
faced
But the
national
bottom line
security
is,
threats with strength.
they're all the exact same
That
bird.
seems like
One right side
ridiculous.
wing, one left side
Right
wing.
now,
It's all the same.
our
Ain't none of this going to change.
commander-in-chief
And if
is
we don't
not
keep our
in
eyes
command.
up like we're supposed to,
The free
looking
world
and
deserves
watching,
better
something is not
than a
going to
dithering and
feel
diminished
too good here
America.
for a lot of people in a minute.
America deserves leaders who recognize
This girl
that
is too much of
secure
an actor for
borders,
me. I don't like
stable
all that
prices,
SERP. You got to
safe
have some spine,
streets,
chutzpah,
and
or
a
a
strong
backbone or something.
defense are actually the cornerstones of a great nation. Just ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 3 years ago? There's no doubt we're at a crossroads, and it doesn't have to be this way. We all feel it. But here's the good news. We, the people, are still in the driver's seat. We get to decide whether our future will grow brighter or whether we'll settle for an America in decline. Well, I know which choice our children deserve, and I know the choice the Republican Party is fighting for. We are the party of hard-working parents and families, and we want to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive. And we want families to grow. It's why we strongly support continued nationwide access to in vitro fertilization. We want to help loving moms and dads bring precious life into this world. Wesley and I believe there is no greater blessing in life than our children. And that's why tonight I want to make a direct appeal to the parents out there, and in particular to my fellow moms, many of whom I know will be up tossing and turning at 2 a.m., wondering how you're going to be in 3 places at once and then somehow still get dinner on the table.
Ma'am, I'm sorry,
First of
but
all,
you suck.
we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you. I know. You're
Wake up.
I know you're probably disgusted by most of what you see going on in Washington, and I'll be really honest with you, you're not wrong for feeling that way. Look, I get it. The task in front of us isn't an easy one, but I can promise you one thing. It is worth it. So I am asking you, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, get into the arena. Every generation has been
Girl,
called
bye.
to do hard things. American greatness rests in the fact that we always answer that call. It's who we are. Never forget, we are steeped in the blood of patriots who overthrew the most powerful empire in the world. We walk
She's
in the footsteps
she was chosen
of
by the
pioneers
Democrats.
who tamed the wild. We now carry forward the same flame of freedom as the liberators of an oppressed Europe. We continue to draw courage from those who bent the moral arc of the universe. And when we gaze upon the heavens, never forget that our DNA contains the same ingenuity that put man on the moon. America has been tested before, and every single time we've emerged unbowed and unbroken. Our history has been written with the grit of men and women who got knocked down. But we know their stories because they did not stay down. We are here because they stood back up.
Girl, bye.
So now it's our turn, our moment to stand up and
I
prove
don't want to be
ourselves
disrespectful and turn her off, but
worthy
she
of
just won't shut
protecting
up.
the American dream. Together, we can reawaken the heroic spirit of a great nation. Because America, we don't just have a rendezvous with destiny. We take destiny's hand and we lead it. Our future starts around kitchen tables just like this, with moms and dads just like you. And you are why I believe with every fiber of my being that despite the current state of our union, our best days are still ahead. May God bless you, and may God continue
She's
to
OP.
bless these United States of America.
Good night, Irene. Where did they get that child? Bless her heart. I know she's from here, from Alabama, but bless her heart. Just bless her heart. Help here. Oh, yikes. This was really a circus night. You know, I tell you, this place looks like it's not going to be around here long. I mean, that's the feeling that it just feels like something's in the air that says this place just isn't going to be here long. I know that sounds creepy, kooky, weird, but just looking at her and then looking at what we just watched before her, it just reeks. The whole thing reeks. And all I have to say is if somebody knows how to get in their prayer closet, or if you call it that, or, you know, get someplace and intercede or something, because something about to happen. I don't know what it is, but it's just thick in the air. It's just like a bunch of crap was just left on the floor, and watch out, you guys, don't step in it. It's like a mile wide and a mile long, but don't step in it and you can't avoid it. That's how I feel. I feel like you just can't avoid the crap that was laid down before us on the right and on the left. It's like everybody is all there, you know, googly eyed and chatting with each other, all of them doing the monster mash, all of them looking like old. It looked like an old folks home reunion. I mean, it did. It just reminded me of a Geritol convention. It was terrible. And then here she comes with the bright-eyed look. Hey, don't you want to see the old America come back? Don't you want to see us all around the table eating together? And really, what she's saying is, I don't believe any of this garbage that KIV allowed me to write and put here with you guys. And so I'm just going to keep smiling with this weirdo smile, hoping that like somebody called her Joel Osteen. She looked like a fembot. I'm sorry, I can't. This country is in trouble. This place is in trouble, man. If this is all we got, if that's the best we got on either side, I just don't know what to say. I feel sorry for anybody who has to vote coming up here in November. Anybody who does vote, I feel sorry. I'm not getting involved in that crap show. I'm just not. Bread and circus is what it's been, and bread and circus is what it's going to be. Why? Because the Romans are just out rampant. That's exactly what it is. And that's who started the whole bread and circus thing. So with that said, we just got to watching a travesty. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves hanging out with one another, because that's really what it's all about. All of us hanging out, chit-chatting, giving our comments and our opinions. And we see pretty much, for the most part, we're all one, and we're all one and the same, in that we all agree. Yeah, Zach, did you get that? 4 more years, 4 more years, 4 more years. He says, of Trump. Yeah, she did. Didn't she remind you of that, R. Jones? R. Jones says maybe she's a robot. Yeah. A White House retirement living where residents are made to feel like presidents. I love it. Ah, she had a fake smile, right? Making everybody think that all the people down here in Alabama are weak, mamby-pambies. That's quite the opposite. Ain't none of us like that. I don't know where they got this chick from. Whose child is she? Let's see. Well, she's obviously one of the Republican politicians here. WFV3 says they all get to go into deep underground bunkers when the event happens, and they know it. Well, funny thing is like I said the other day, what's going to happen is going to happen underground, and we're going to be up here partying. Yeah. Let's see. What's going on over here? That was comedic genius. Ah, okay, let's see. Up north of the 49, what's long, yellow, and smells of urine? Line dancing at the old folks' home. Lord have mercy. Politics today is like the Lord's sheep on the rings, goats on the left. Okay. or the State of the Union address. Ah, oh my God, yes. Yep. This is just a joke. Alabama too here, sister. You know we not like that, Angela, out here. We are not like that. Southern girls are stronger than that. I don't know where they grabbed her from. I just don't know. But that's just too much syrup for this time of night. Bunker life is no life. That's just too much syrup. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn in for the evening. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us tonight. I think what we just watched was just enough. You know what, Angela? How are you, beautiful? I'm glad you did. What was that freaky Stepford Wives thing I caught at the end? Child, that was the response to the Stepford man. That was the response to Joe Biden's train wreck of an address. And it looked terrible. It was absolutely awful. It was terrible. She was a deep fake. Up north of 49 says, yeah, it's good to see you, Angela. It is so good to see you, honey. Let's see. Is that AI sucks? Look what I did to Shirley Temple. Oh, look what it did to Shirley Temple. It gave her a job as a White House press secretary. Doing wonderful here in the Sunshine State. Great to see you. Great to see you too. Hugs and kisses to the entire family, your hubby and the girls. I know you're enjoying that new place, and I know you're happy to be away from the other place, because there's stuff. The girl, didn't you get out of there just in time? Because New York is really tripping. Anyway, everybody, we're going to shut it down right quick. It is 22:18. And don't you know, I got to get in the bed. I got to keep my looks about me. Anyway, I love each and every one of you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button and share if you can. And if you don't like this video, you don't want to let this be the best representation of something that you share with a friend, go ahead and just share the whole channel. And that way, somebody can go and pick through what they like. And maybe we can get some more subscribers over here. It'd be so awesome. In any case, I want to thank all of y'all and tell you how much I love you and what you mean to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 1,000 thank yous. Please remember what we always say here or any of the Lockhart Group publications, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, it's impossible for us to trust any of the stuff that we just got through hearing on either side. But I will tell you to take care of yourselves, And no matter what you do, take care of you first, because you already know that ain't nobody else going to do it for you. If you don't, then you can reach around and take care of everybody else. And until I see you again, please remember to take care of my friend, because my friend is you. All right? All right, you guys, peace. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way, helping you to make it through another day.